I don't know. And I thought to myself, you know, thank you. I mean, now I can go have a beer with this guy, and because I know he's going to be honest with me. Eventually, he's going to answer the questions. He does not know, and I think that's the only legitimate answer. Is if you don't know, you don't know.
Oh, sure you don't. Right, and that's a dividing factor between.
And there's nothing wrong with that. If you don't, I mean, hopefully I'm going to say it a few times because there's a lot of things I don't know.
Right. I think one of the biggest things is that is a dividing line, if you will, from a philosophical, from an atheistic type of thinking to a biblical Christian, is the idea of supernatural. You know, we would profess to believe in what the Bible says, supernatural, that God is and interacts with people, how He does. My view on it is, if God is almighty, which I believe He is, and all-knowing, then why would He not be able to interact with us in a physical way, in different ways, and so on, and create the world, speak things into existence, whatever. So that's a difference. That's that thing, is that the wall that's dividing right now, is that wall of the supernatural versus the natural. And in regards to the comment from the Catholic priest, it is okay to say you don't know. And God is a spirit, we know that. I don't know if I would label Him multidimensional or non-dimensional or anything like that. It comes from whatever his theological background is, which I won't comment on, but another time, another show. But excellent, and that's great that you're interacting with different groups and seeking after different knowledge.
Yeah, actually, in the last couple of weeks I've had interaction with a couple of prominent theists, and I've asked that very question, and I've gotten anywhere from completely contradictory answers to I don't know, to we don't deal with that from it. Actually, if you don't mind, I have just take a second. There was another gentleman I actually called. His name is Dr. David Abel, and he wrote a paper called "Is Life Unique?" And I don't know his theological background, but he claims that he's from the Origin of Life Science Foundation, the Department of Proto-Biocybernetics and Proto-Biosemiotics. So pretty impressive sounding. In any event, the conclusion of his paper, he says, essentially, I'm paraphrasing, he says life had to have been intentionally designed. We couldn't go from non-life to life naturally. There had to be some intent involved to that. So his phone number was right on the paper, and I gave him a call, and I was actually surprised when he called me back. So I asked him, I said, who or what did the programming? And his answer is, we don't do that. Meaning, that's a metaphysical question that my organization does not get involved with. So I pressed him a little bit because I'm thinking to myself, well, this is the Origin of Life Science Foundation. The one thing that you say is required for the origin of life, you're not looking for. And he gave me some more stuff about metaphysics and so forth. And ultimately his answer was, science is not equipped to answer that question. So I actually wrote an article, online article, and the headline was, Origin of Life Science Foundation not looking for the origin of life. Because you can see what he's doing is he's trying to create a gap. God of the gaps, if you would. The argument from ignorance is somehow we don't know how non-life became life. And I'll admit that science has not figured that out yet. But that does not mean that a supernatural creator came in and monkeyed with the chemistry to create the life. That in itself is a false dichotomy, because it could have been, the term is panspermia, it could have been life from outside of Earth coming in. It could have been little green men bringing in. We don't know. And that's the only legitimate answer, is to say, we don't know, we're trying to find the way that it actually happened, but this type of nonsense where you're trying to create this gap is, first of all, it's not science, and it's also, I believe, disingenuous.
Possibly borderline cowardice.
Sure. I would call it fraud, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I have no problem saying what I believe about how life came into existence and standing on it. I believe that God spoke into existence, and I believe God made man on the dust of the earth, like you said. Right. I'll stand on that, because even though science can't prove that, they can't prove it didn't happen really either.
But the one thing you can't do is tell me how it happened.
Right.
And that's the problem.
Yep, the natural, supernatural.
And that's why I'm an atheist, is because there's no connection there. There's no how that links the two. So there's no, in my opinion, there's no reason to believe that the supernatural actually exists other than a concept in the human mind.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to comment on that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I look at huge problems for materialists on this, because you've got to believe that there was something that by itself exploded, which is contrary to all the laws that we know now. Things that are at rest stay at rest, unless they're acted upon by something from the outside. So you have this, I guess you would say, massive hydrogen that explodes, and all of a sudden the universe is in creation, you know, it's in existence. And then you get hydrogen atoms that somehow mutate or evolve into life. And then that evolves into complicated, incredibly complicated DNA, RNA, the complex of the eye, all this. And then you have to add on to that, you've got these molecules that all of a sudden develop love, like our human qualities, which is, we're created in the image of God. And the Bible says God is love. Then molecules evolve into becoming merciful, and it evolves into becoming, well, you could have jealousy, all the human emotions. How do you get from some ball of hydrogen that explodes into this inorganic realm that all of a sudden becomes organic, that develops love and all the other things that make us being human?
Yeah, and again, it's another logical fallacy.
It's not. It's very logical.
How
do you get? I have never seen any empirical evidence that has taken molecules that have developed into something and then became organic and then developed like the human mind, the human emotions. If you can produce that in your material realm, then you've got an argument, but you don't have it.
No, and the only legitimate answer to how did that happen is I don't know.
Oh, very good, thank you.
Okay, until it can be shown how. But to say it's really improbable, I can't imagine how it would happen, therefore God did it, that is not an argument that holds any water.
Well, it shows that the existence of human emotions, for example, like love, come from another realm.
No.
Yeah, well, how do you get from hydrogen atoms to love?
It's a very long and complicated process. It doesn't mean it's impossible or it had to be done as a supernatural
I have never
source.
seen any empirical evidence that has done that. I've never seen the inorganic go to the organic with any empirical evidence.
There's three huge steps here. We're talking about cosmic evolution, abiogenesis, non-life to life, and then biological evolution once you have life to more complicated forms. So it's a huge realm. And let me just take a small slice of that. Let's just take the love part of it, okay? Or, well, let's just stick with the love part of it for this discussion. Humans are social animals, okay? We have evolved as social animals, and we have certain traits, there's actually genes that help drive our behaviors in our brains, and our strategy, one of our strategies for survival is to work together as a group, in teams, in families, in tribes, in nations, and so forth, okay? So the aspect of love is most closely united to the family itself. So the ones that share your genetic information, your genes, are the ones that you want to help survive the most, and then less as you get further out, okay? So it's an evolutionary strategy that has evolved over time that actually drives us to love our families, our neighbors, and so forth. It's a perfectly natural explanation. It's been very well described and documented. Humans are not alone in these family bonds and emotions. Other social animals do exactly the same thing. So there's absolutely nothing supernatural about that. And that's just one slice of it. Now we can talk about cosmic evolution and all that other stuff. There's very good natural explanations for almost the full range. Now there's pieces missing. The abiogenesis part, we don't have an answer for that. What we call the Big Bang, the origin part, it's called a singularity because right there at the very moment of the Big Bang, our mathematics and our understanding break down. We don't have a coherent set of physics that deals with it. There's actually a really good book.
Yet. I think the key is yet.
By Lawrence Krauss. It's called A Universe from Nothing. And it's not a confirmed